How's it going, boys? Hat-Trick Line back with another video, and we're going to be using Tier Maker again today. You guys seem to like the ranking 31 NHL teams, aside from the people who didn't agree with me, which is fair. I respect their opinions. It was just my opinion, so I didn't have anything to say bad about it. But today we're going to be using Tier Maker to rank defunct NHL teams. I thought this was a pretty good idea. You guys could see where I would put teams that are no longer in the league if I want them back. I have 5 categories. I have the please come back, so teams that I think the league would be, good to have back. I have the missed. Missed is for, they're missed. We don't really need them back, but it was good times when they were here. The we're okay category is like teams that it was like, we're okay without them, but they were good. It was fun. Better off is for teams that we're really better off without. We don't really need them back. And then the stay dead is pretty self-explanatory. Stay dead. So the first thing I wanted to do with this video was just to clarify that there are going to be a lot of teams in the we're okay category, because a lot of these teams are in cities that already have enough teams. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that first here. I'm going to put, sorry, not the Atlanta Flames. We're going to put the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Montreal Maroons, the Montreal Wanderers, the St. Louis Eagles, I believe it was, the Colorado Rockies, Quakers, the Philadelphia Quakers, I believe it is, the North Stars, unfortunately, will also be going there, and I believe that is it. So yeah, so those are all the teams, actually also, sorry, the Quebec Bulldogs. So those are all the teams that are defunct, that there is a team currently in the league that is already associated with the city from those teams, or it is a team where there's another team that I'm putting in a bracket somewhere else. Actually, the Atlanta Flames does go there. So the Pittsburgh Pirates were a defunct team. Obviously, we now have the Penguins. It would be kind of weird if we had Pittsburgh Pirates in the MLB and the NHL, so I feel like they kind of belong in this one. We have the 2 defunct Montreal teams, the Wanderers and the Maroons. We already had the Canadiens. I could see 2 teams being in Montreal. It's a very, populated Canadian city, and so for the sake of that video, we will leave them there. The St. Louis Eagles were also a team. We obviously have the Blues now, so I leave them in that bracket as well, as the Rockies, Colorado, another baseball team now. The Philadelphia Quakers were a team I did not know existed before this video, so that was pretty interesting. Obviously, we have the Flyers. Maybe I'll put the Philly and the Pittsburgh teams next to each other. The North Stars, we have Minnesota, although the North Stars are probably the most iconic team for this list, so if the North Stars were to ever return, they might just return in another city, but we're putting them in this bracket for now. The Quebec Bulldogs, I am having Quebec in a different bracket along with Atlanta, so I'll put those 2 in the we're okay category. So to start off with please come back, I have 2 teams in there, and it is the Quebec Nordiques and the Hartford Whalers. So Hartford, obviously, it's been crazy, the Carolina Hurricane season this year. They're embracing the Whalers. They have the Whalers alternate jersey, and they have the Brass Bonanza goal song back for that. It's pretty awesome. The Whalers are iconic for, the Brass Bonanza and everything. I believe Gordie Howe played there in his last couple of years. And the Quebec Nordiques, Canadian team, had a large fan base. Most of them have migrated to Montreal now, but Quebec City especially is very vocal about getting an NHL team back. I'm not sure if either of those 2 will ever happen, but I would love to see the Quebec Nordiques and the Hartford Whalers one day make a return to the league. For the missed teams, we are going to go ahead and have the Cleveland Barons, the Kansas City Scouts, and the California Golden Seals. So to start off, the Golden Seals, pretty hilarious team. The colors were always crazy. I think they had the teal jerseys at one point. Really just an act almost to try and sell people seats. I thought it was pretty cool. Definitely enjoy their jerseys and their style and the way things were run there. It was pretty special. The Kansas City Chiefs, Kansas City obviously pretty big. Maybe not the biggest hockey market anymore, but if Vegas can sell tickets, then I'm sure you could get people in Kansas City to come see games. They had a team before. They are definitely missed. And the Cleveland Barons, Cleveland, another big U.S. city that doesn't have a NHL team. I'm sure they could have a team back. I'm sure the fans would love to have them back. It's definitely a team that I think we could get back maybe one day, but I don't have them in the please come back. I just have them in the missed category. And for the better off category, I have two teams, the Hamilton Tigers and the New York Americans. So Hamilton is obviously, not as big of a city in Canada as the other Canadian teams. I feel like it was a good idea. I mean, they have a CFL team, so they've got to be pretty big. But the Hamilton Tigers, we have so many teams in Ontario and in the surrounding Quebec already. I feel like it would be a little too busy. I'm sure the fans in Hamilton are already Sens or Maple Leaf or Montreal fans, so I have them in the better off, but definitely, a team that is possible that could probably work in the NHL today, but where the fans in Ontario are probably already latched onto those other teams, I feel like it is definitely unlikely. And the New York Americans, I didn't put them in the we're okay category like the other teams because we already have two New York teams. Like some of these, they're kind of okay. You wouldn't have two teams in Pittsburgh or two teams in Philadelphia or St. Louis, but the New York Americans, New York is such a big city, you could probably fit three teams. I mean, you already have two New York teams and New Jersey, and that's like all within the same area. Buffalo is in New York, so they actually have three New York teams. So you could probably even get a fourth in there, but I think we're better off without the Americans. Definitely a cool idea. I love the idea of one team just being called the Americans, just like how the Canadians are the Canadians. They could almost have a rivalry if they were brought back. But I've decided to put them in the better off specifically because if any of these teams were to come back, it would be two per city. But if the Americans were to come back, it would be four, and that would get quite messy. So finally, for our last category, we have the Stay Dead, and unfortunately, I had to put one team in here. I'm going to put the Atlanta Thrashers because they're the most recently defunct NHL team. I know when they got out of Atlanta, it was pretty messy. There wasn't a lot of fans showing up to games. It was almost just the easiest idea to relocate them to Winnipeg. I don't have anything against the Thrashers. I didn't hate them when I was younger. I just feel like if it was likely that they were to bring a team back to Atlanta, I think people would almost rather have the Flames, because during Atlanta's time, I think it was 12 seasons total. They made the playoffs once and got swept, so they had no real good history. Their players were Kovalchuk and Hossa over the years. They were pretty good, but they didn't do a whole lot for them, and 0 playoff wins as a franchise in 12 years isn't the most enticing. So I think it would be more likely if they were to ever bring a team back to Atlanta, it might be the Flames, although there is already a Flames, Calgary, so it might even just be better to bring back a whole new franchise, to start fresh with Atlanta, and hopefully it goes well than the last two times and they don't become one of the many defunct teams like all these poor souls we have on this list. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. I will put the link to this tier maker. I made it myself down in the comments. And if you guys want to give it a go, tell me where a team that I put in a wrong category should be in the comments. Tell me what teams you want to see come back. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, and see you later.